Episode 546 of the TV Dudes, recorded July 4th, 2025. Revival!
Yes! This week for America's birthday, we checked out the Image Comics inspired, Peacock produced, and Mrs. McMurray starring zombie show. Plus, we're one of a handful of podcasts that actually died last week, quietly, in our sleep, peaceful like. But now we're back from the dead, and even though we look basically exactly the same, a lot of people have said that we are not the same podcast.
I will not stop pulling out my teeth.
Yeah, well.
Will this revived version of the podcast turn out to be evil?
Well, I mean, we have regrown back from a series of wounds, so who knows?
Oh, you have the teeth thing. Damn it.
Sorry.
I totally, completely, behind the scenes, everyone. We just, off the cuff, I had not read the script beforehand. It inadvertently stole Les's lines about
God
teeth pulling. Getting me to read the script beforehand is like,
well, I mean,
an activity,
I don't send them very far ahead.
An activity that's hard to do. It's like pulling something. I had something for this.
Pulling hair, pulling pigtails. Because you don't want to say you like the activity, but you have a crush on it. No? Yeah. Is that not the way that phrase goes?
Yeah, but all those symptoms, I would think they're unrelated. I wouldn't sweat it.
Yeah, it seems fine. Anyway, I'm Les.
And I'm Nick.
And we're the TV Dudes. And you know, a bunch of undead Wisconsinites isn't all we watched. Is it Wisconsinites?
Yeah, it's Wisconsinites.
All right. But before we head to the Diaries, folks, have you heard about patreon.com/TV Dudes?
Patreon.com/TV Dudes? The fuck is that?
It's how this podcast happens. Folks can support their favorite podcasts.
This one?
At a variety of tiers. For just $1 a week, you'll get twice the TV Dudes episodes. And there's higher tiers if you want to really show some support.
I mean, yeah, this week the bonus episode is our review of...
Show.
Which we really should have... Oh boy.
It's our... That gives away how I felt about it. It's our review of Jurassic World Rebirth.
Nice.
Which is really neither a world of Jurassics nor a rebirth.
So I didn't even finish the stock plate. Fucking... This is a holiday weekend. We didn't put we're running on fumes here.
Much like America.
Like America. But you could hear what we thought about Jurassic World Rebirth. That's what it's called.
I think so.
And you can hear that at patreon.com/TV Dudes.
And now we can talk about our show watching. To the Diaries.
The Diaries.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
Nick, I know you got up to watching maybe more about the Chicago Bulls than any single human should know at once. Do you have like in the meme? Do you have like the cosmic galaxy brain worth of?
Well, last week
Last Dance.
Last week I watched the untold story of Brett Favre,
right?
Or whatever.
Favre.
And I was like,
Favre.
It's just it's the easiest way to say it.
Favre.
Like, I don't know why.
Favre.
But it got me like, oh, I actually don't give a shit about sports, but that was spirits, but that was kind of interesting. So. This was a big documentary. Last Dance was a big documentary last year, I think, or was it 2 years before?
Who can tell with time these days?
But it was a big deal. I know Kyle really fucking sang its praises.
No, man, I know Kyle watched it. A lot of people I knew suddenly like we were right back in the '90s Bulls era.
And I was alive through a big section of that, of like the '90s. Space Jam, seminal fucking movie for me.
Mm-hmm. So when it was first out, the takeaway I was getting from other people was, Michael Jordan's competitive, but you really don't. He's so competitive. But what I got from you watching it was that the Bulls organization are some cheap fucks and petty.
The reason there is not, like, that was like 7th championship and they don't go on for another one because they were signing Michael Jordan a year by at that point.
Right, like how's he going month to month on this rental?
And they were doing a lot of that for a lot of Steve Kerr, I believe, was year to year at that point. Rodman was. And like, so they had all run out their contract except for Scottie Pippen. And Scottie Pippen had signed a stupid long thing, and he was the most underpaid NBA player, has to have gone on for years at that point. I think he was like a second ball play, basically second in assists, second in shots, second in rebound. Like it just basically the only person that could fuck with Michael Jordan skill wise was on Jordan's team.
And the Bulls were underpaying the two top players in the league.
Yeah, Jordan they eventually had to fork over,
pony up some,
and also he had his shoe deal, so like Jordan was really, but Pippen was. The Pippen they fucked.
Right. Was Madonna picking up the dinners? Like, what was happening?
So, at that last one, Pippen decided to schedule a surgery that season. And like, cool, I'm going to schedule my surgery late in the summer and actually use half the season to recover. And he was out for half of a season. Basically, the last season he did that under his shitty contract was basically like, cool, I'm going to basically remind you, like, you're going to miss me before you have to decide whether or not to re-up my contract. And that had the opposite effect. The team did not really like that because they basically hurt the team.
Right.
Jordan is a guy that is...
Takes it personally.
He is... I guess the nicest way you could say it is that he was the nicest dude to everyone except for 4 guys. The guys on the court with him, like he held them to a high expectation, and he had a very big respect for the game, as in sport.
Right.
Like
like using it for a personal, like I'm gonna fuck up the abstract concept of winning this season for a personal contract deal.
Yeah, he didn't get that.
No, that feels like blackmailing basketball itself or something.
Yeah, also he didn't like when the Bulls basically tried to tank his early in his career, like the 93 or whatever, tried to tank, like, okay, we're going to basically kind of try and lose games on purpose to increase our picks in the draft. And that went against we're here to all try to win this game. Otherwise, what are we doing here?
Right.
It was interesting to see exactly the, what would you call, controversies at that time. Like, he ended up going to a fucking casino, and people were like, "Man, he's got a betting problem. Are there is that gonna affect his play or whatever?" And like, yeah, he gambled on golf games he played, and he liked putting money on stuff.
Well, like one of the parts that I saw was like other players that aren't being paid at like anything close to him or whatever, talking about like being at the front of the bus or front of the plane, and Jordan coming up and like, "Dude, y'all playing dollar hands of poker?
Oh no,
can I sit in?"
Those weren't even players. Players he could fuck with on $100 hands of poker.
But like the crew and stuff.
The interviewers,
the
like journalists, press corps, he would want to go, "Hey, you guys doing a dollar game?" And like, what does this matter to you? And he went because taking that dollar out of your hand and putting it in my pocket is the satisfaction. He was upfront of like, but I want to beat you.
It's not a gambling problem that rose out of a guy getting rich. It is the same competitive drive that makes him like that on the court, or like that in training, or in the practice room, or in the weight room, or whatever. It makes him like he's that dude 1,000,000% of the time. Like Jordan's got to beat you in shit that doesn't matter. That dumb scene in fucking Days of Thunder where Tom Cruise and
they're like racing on those
rental
fucking
cars. They got to race. They race the wheelchairs. They race rental cars. They destroy those rental cars. And like these guys can't not.
Right.
And like I feel like Jordan can't not.
Yeah, to a point.
He's definitely made a kid cry, like not being able to lose a game of horse to him or something.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Does he have a gambling problem? I don't think so. He has a competition problem.
Right.
I would say.
Oh, you know, he smashed a ping pong ball back at a child.
Well.
And you'd love to see it.
And they were talking about like he didn't really hold any political positions when he was at his height of his fame.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't really
nothing that would fuck with basketball.
Nothing that would fuck with him as a superstar, basically. And because he not because he's a dick, more on the level of, and this sounds kind of dickish, and maybe it is, he just didn't care about anything else that wasn't basketball.
Yeah. No, that was the vibe I always got. It's kind of what makes the baseball thing surprising.
Well, that was, man, watching that, I was like, oh, he's just grieving his dad. He went off for a year to grieve his dad, basically.
Imagine being an athlete at the physical level that you can grieve your dad with a flight of fancy into pro baseball.
Sure.
And I remember a bunch of, like, I was a kid at the time. I remember a bunch of adults being like, see, he sucks at baseball. And like, I remember thinking at the time,
no, he's not the best.
He's better
at
than
baseball.
anyone we've ever met at baseball. He's just not the
Michael Jordan of baseball.
Yeah, but it's how I felt that river of like, no, man, at any pro, at any farm team level, you are already a better baseball player than I've ever seen.
Well, Phil Jackson, the coach, basically designed a team around Michael at a certain point, because the earlier years, the Pistons beat them a couple times because they had Jordan rules of like, hey, so if he goes to the center, put two people on him. If he runs up underneath the basket, put a shoulder in him.
Restructure everything to fuck with his game.
And
you can do that if the rest of the team is no normal team.
And basically the idea was keep Jordan on the ground. If you kept him dribbling on the ground, you had a shot. You can't let him get airborne. If he gets into the air, he's like, it's weird watching other basketball players talk about him. It was like, when he's in the air, he's not human. Like, he's above a certain, like, we're all really stupid good at basketball.
Right. Everybody's got ups,
but he is a level of Magic Johnson played with him before, and they Clyde the Glide. They tell him like, oh, I think they're pretty similar, like pretty similar basketball things. And Michael Jordan heard that and was like, no, he's not me. And you hear that over and over again in the documentary of like, even times he had to make up in his head of,
oh man, the guy that he was like, no, that never happened. Jordan made that up in his own head, but the rumor got around.
Yeah, because he'd do whatever he took to beat you.
Yeah.
And he went that next game to Clyde the Glide and just fucking field goal, 3-pointer, just three. And like, eventually he just shrugged at Magic Johnson, because he looked at Magic Johnson every time like, I don't know.
Yeah, Johnson talked about like, yeah, no, I don't know why he can't just beat you by a point. He wants to put his foot on your neck and kill you.
Yeah, winning. He doesn't want to win. He wants to beat you. Isn't that the same? Not,
it is not.
Exactly.
You have clearly not been beaten.
Yeah. You've lost a game before, but have you been beaten?
Yeah.
And also at the end of the whole documentary, the whole thing pretty fascinating and well, like, it's long and well documented. And after watching, the Brett Favre one basically glaze over it.
Right.
I thought it was, getting in the nitty gritty was very interesting. And at the end of it, Chicago Bulls, rather than paying that 5-man team what they were actually worth, because Scottie Pippen's contract was coming up, they were like, nope, we're going to restructure the team. We're going to keep Jordan, and that's about it. And then we'll make a bunch of new guys, and everyone else can get traded off, and someone else can pay their exorbitant salaries. Because, like how Jordan wants to win, I feel like the NBA people or whatever, like especially the Chicago Bulls, they don't want a winning team. They want a winning team, but not pay a winning team.
Right.
That's the satisfaction.
That's the goal. That's the dream.
Like, because they could have just paid those same 5 guys,
right,
and won at least probably another 2 years. They all have at least a couple years of basketball left.
Yeah. No, the fans' goal and the front office's goals are not the same. It's like realizing like, oh, you think the company wants to make a better product of blah, but actually they want to increase shareholder value. Those are not the same goal. And like, yeah, the front office wants profit. I don't know. It started to look, from the little bits I saw, like the HBO Max thing of like, oh, you guys aren't about releasing shows. You're just about bottom line at the front office. And sometimes that means not winning a ring this year.
They told Phil Jackson, like, you could go 82-0 and you will not coach next year.
Yeah, we're done.
And then they had the gall to offer him the coaching afterwards, and like, well, I mean, we say some stuff, but Pippen is gone. We're not fucking bringing him back. And Jordan didn't want to fucking play for anyone that wasn't Phil Jackson. Like, nope. Yeah. We had our team. Mm-hmm. Like, why in Jordan's mind, like, wait, why do I want to play?
Well, in the same way he was mad at Pippen. Like, no, why are y'all fucking with basketball? Why we had this.
One of the interviewers asked him in the documentary, like, So did you feel good about like going out at your peak? No, I'm pretty mad about it. I'm still pretty mad about it. Like I had a couple more years of peak level. My mental game was equal to my physical. My experience and my physical body were basically in sync. He was a little slower than he was in his youth, but not like,
and knows more, and was already playing at such a level that like you've got a few more years of being still better than all these guys.
Well, I mean,
on any given night.
Yeah. I just thought it was deeply fascinating. It led me to other untold stories, which are all sports. Those are all sports documentaries, I believe, untolds. One about the referee scandal, well, the betting scandal, which actually explained a lot what I was thinking of Chicago Bulls. Because as good as the Bulls have to be the best put together team in basketball history, right?
Like just as far as assembling the right skills to complement the right dudes.
No, I guess they did put together that team for the Olympics with
the dream team,
the dream team,
which is coming out of like was
with
built
Barkley
around Jordan
and Johnson and Jordan. Like I guess that was a better team, but like no team that was in the league. And yet I was like, wait, why don't they ever sweep a playoff game? Like they always go to at least a game 5, if not, and most of the time 6 games. Because, last playoffs are always best of 7, right?
And like for real, one of these years they should have just
one of them
crushed.
Like not one do they not just.
That's never bothered Jordan, that he's never just wanted to go out there and just wreck a playoff.
Wreck a playoff, right? And so watching the NBA, watching the ref scandal was interesting because that ref did break some rules and basically did some betting on the side and shaved points. But the thing that was not. What was fucked up was that what wasn't illegal about what he was doing, and the fact that he learned from refereeing a Jordan game of like he called a foul that the NBA wanted on a move that was considered traveling or whatever, like the spin move, and he called it on Jordan, and Phil Jackson even said like they don't want that call called on him. That's a superstar. NBA's are lighter call-wise on superstars because people didn't come to watch them ride the bench or get ejected.
Right.
So they can get away with more. And not only that, the refs are encouraged to call more so that there are more games in the playoffs so the NBA can...
televised games.
Televised games. They're going to make more money. 4 games is... In a playoff game, like an extra 2 games every time...
Mm-hmm. If it goes back to the other city, think of all the hotels and the food and the convention center and all that shit.
So the refs are leaning on the points.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dude, you can't. And why I've never heard about this is that they fucking shut that investigation down. NBA renegotiated all their cable deals for another 10 years.
Well, like you said, there's a gray area between what you kind of know might be happening of like, okay, but I can't think about it because people bet on basketball, but they don't bet on wrestling.
Right.
There's a line where if you cross it, and
I don't know
really
where it is.
It's fake, but there's somewhere in there you don't, and no org wants to find it because there's no coming back.
Right, and no one wanted to like admit how much the games are manipulated,
right,
like that.
But at the college level, people got mad.
Oh, about that was the sign stealing thing. Into my mind, they proved like, oh well, he sent guys to other games, which is technically like sign stealing is not against the rules. It's sending someone to the game on the college's dime in order to get footage of an away game, and I think they got him on that. And even I was like, so
yeah. It just seems like y'all are madder about the gamesmanship of it.
Well, in the documentary, a couple of the journalists were like, "Look, man, they're very mad that the best sign stealer was on that college team, and like in the next 2 years, they put microphones in the helmet. They didn't want to spring for them. College,
right?
They had the technology, they were just expensive.
Yeah, but they could have solved this before.
But everybody
was doing it.
But everyone was doing it, and no one kind of wanted to give up the little edge they thought they had. And yeah, the guy, I don't know, seemed like a cool dude to me, and he wasn't cheating. That wasn't really what it was. He was interpreting the other people's.
No, it it's that gray area of like you shouldn't put schmutz on the ball to throw it as a pitcher. Like you know, like you shouldn't like Vaseline it, but also it's a little bit part of baseball, I think.
Well, they ditch him for the last home games or whatever where their playoffs are, and they win the next 3 games.
Right. So like
because the Michigan football team's pretty good.
Fucking good. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that's what cracked me up of like, well, you're going to have a hard time proving this because it's not 100%. Same with the points shaving, like, or stealing, like the refs leaning on it. You were like, yeah, you know, you can only push it so far. You can't always win them, so it's not 100%.
Right. And then...
So those guys were just dipshits on betting.
God damn it. The mob guy was connected. Anyway, yeah, I watched a lot of documentaries this week, and that actually led me to a couple more train wrecks that I actually watched with you. Which one was Rob Ford, that you caught some of it.
Yeah, I caught some of that one.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That's what I was mad about. The poop deck train wreck was really light. That's what I was mad. But we watched the train wreck for Astroworld, which was also light on some crucial details.
Oh my god! Also, a much bigger train wreck than I realized. Like,
holy
the
god!
Poop Cruise was honestly, you'd said, less of a train wreck. Instead of that, I ended up watching Triangle of Sadness, which is a very different movie, but has a middle section that was Poop Cruise.
Right.
But the Astroworld train wreck, I remember that in the news. I had no idea how bad and how preventable that was.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, just insane. And then also, like you said, that documentary is like barely an hour. And there are 3 people, 2 particularly, the 2 Live Nation people in charge. That I don't think they ever even name. They don't interview them.
They never name them.
And they
never say where they are.
No, where they were the entire event. They are the only 2 people who could have like stopped it.
Right.
And it's... One of them gets a text back and forth. They don't, and the doc doesn't. It was one of those like, man, that the lawyers tell you that you cannot name the person on the other end of this text.
I think the documentarians got to the point of like, we can't say they weren't at the event
because all
they might have
the wrongful deaths were settled out of court.
We can't. I would
everything
think
was settled out of court.
So those 2 people, I'm gonna guess, were just not on site and fucked up that way.
Right.
But no one could prove they weren't on site.
Right. Or that they were on site. Because, like, honestly, man, you're talking about scrubbing pictures of you on the ground at Astroworld. Jesus.
Well, they had the text between the guys, so I'm thinking, like, well, he's at least not right on the crowd where that guy is.
Right.
Is he behind the stage? And then the sound guy had a whole thing of, like, what he was going to say to...
the audio engineer that was actually in Travis Scott's ear.
Yeah.
And we don't know what he said, even though that was certainly...
On one level, it's not Travis Scott's responsibility to stop his own concert at that point, considering it didn't sound like he actually had the authority to do it. Yeah. But also, he looked at the crowd and he saw...
You're the Travis Scott in the Travis Scott show.
And he definitely saw... They showed him see a guy get carried out, and that was a very dead kid.
Oh my god. That was... I love the guy that were like, so I've worked a lot of concerts. I've never seen a human being carried out of a crowd like that.
Well, you can tell that there's a difference between a live person, even an asleep person, and a dead person.
Like the kid's wrong. Yeah.
That's a dead person.
And so this was the huge concert for Travis Scott's Astroworld album that he did at the closed down for several years now, Astroworld in like 2013. It had been closed for a few years. It's a pretty fucking cool idea. You have a giant amusement park that is, even though obviously you can't run all the rides because they're old, you could close off huge sections of the park and just use portions of it. And it's going to be, you would think, built for a pretty massive crowd. And for most of the day, it went fine.
Right.
A little bit hot. It's fucking Houston. What are you going to do? But the barricades that they put up on their own to make this like crowd bottling situation.
Well, there's a left side and a right side to the crowds, except that, and they're separated, except the fact that the entrance is only on the left side.
Yeah, everybody coming from the rest of the park's coming at the stage from the left side. So they rush into this like literally like a little plug like bottle cul-de-sac of fence, and they can't get out without turning around and going back. So one side of this concert is going pretty okay.
Yeah.
And one side of this concert has like 11 or 14 crush deaths.
Yeah.
Or something fucked up. Like,
a couple of them died days later. So
but like, it's nuts, man.
A kid died.
All of it settled. Like the guy that's like, this was absolutely preventable. Look at this.
Yeah.
I'm like,
no, they hired 2 separate event planners or whatever that like Cool. So they oversold tickets, and even if they didn't oversell tickets, this is just the wrong way to put people into that crowd, because you're going to crush them as they come in and put pressure on.
And then with the concert still going, there's no way to get everyone to stop and exit that section.
Right. They were worried. They let them go on for Drake to come on, and the excuse was that the cops gave Live Nation hey, we don't want to cause a panic and a stampede. And I get that. But also, there's a way to stop the thing, but not like, hey, everyone stick around, we're just putting a break.
I will forever believe that you could have told Travis Scott to say something to the crowd.
Right.
Like, hey, everybody stop.
Because if that right side
Eyes
leaves,
on me,
if that right side leaves through the left side, we still have a problem. They can't.
No. Yeah, you got
So the right side
you
needs
gotta
to say where
stop.
it is.
That side, you guys you guys all go out this way. We're going to do something special for you.
There's a coordinated way to do it.
Right. Honestly, should have done that right before Drake came out. Said like, look, if you do this, we're going to do something real special for you.
Hey, yo, yeah, if you do this for us, we got a special guest for you. That would be, something. I don't know.
Something, man.
That was nuts.
Yeah, that was fucking crazy. I had never seen that one. And then you watched one that I'm probably not going to watch, so you'll have to tell me about it. K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yes. Well, I mean, to finish off the documentary one, I actually watched one about crack. That was actually really interesting. Right. And then I watched another one based on just the economics of drugs. Like the woman that was an economist.
Business of drugs, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The crack one, I actually it's Crack, Untold Story of Power or something in Netflix. You just type crack in Netflix, you'll get it.
You're right.
But I thought it was actually really.
That was wild. Like that, there's a lot of weird disparities, and that drug is the rise of that drug is weird.
Well, basically the drug war and what happened, and like the hypocrisy of like a guy, and the black people at the time knowing about it. Like the drug dealer was like, "Cool, I knew I was getting my coke from Nicaragua, and look, I didn't know why, but I knew the CIA was cool with it."
Right.
I didn't know about the missile shit.
There was somebody that I'd overheard it when I was walking through, or you'd said that was like, look, man, I don't know anyone who's ever been to Nicaragua.
Yeah.
So how did any of us get connected to these people?
Right.
Like who introduced?
Well, it's the distribution system. How did the question like, well, we got to stop these black people from using these drugs. No question of like, where did these drugs, how'd they get here?
Right.
I mean, they're like, hey, it didn't just magically appear here. Like there's a whole whole distribution system so that we can fucking fight socialism in Venezuela and sell missiles to fucking Iran. Like,
yeah. Now every once in a while in like a drug movie or Traffic or something like that, there'll be, some cartel leader that's yelling at a CIA guy of like, look, man, we will stop this whole thing once you get, the half of your country with their money out to quit yelling at us. That like,
yeah, that
like quit yelling at the store, man.
Women trying to like, hey, I'm addicted to crack and I'm pregnant. Can I get some help so that and then just arresting her and then taking away her baby. Like
the guy that was like, so if I get arrested next to somebody else and he's got 10 packets on him, now we both have 5.
Yeah.
And like watching the cops empty a pocket and like distribute it evenly among everybody.
Well, out of the 3,000 or something people incarcerated in that year in LA, zero of them were white.
0.
That's statistically
unlikely
yes. To put it. So that the cops are letting white people go from bus then.
Like you can just hear the LAPD going, well, that person's white, they don't do crack.
Sure.
And like, but they were standing right here with okay.
I guarantee you there are strange bedfellows in a crack den.
Like, man, let me show you a video of Rob Ford.
No, and it's pretty gross. Honestly, it's sad, and at least none of it worked.
Right.
At least the war on drugs was a complete failure.
Right. It was expensive, but at least it also was a failure. And destroyed a lot of lives. It still is.
What wasn't a failure was K-pop Demon Hunters.
They got it done?
So that was my favorite thing I watched this week.
Nice.
I actually really, really enjoyed that. It is a animated movie featuring songs made by actual K-pop bands and K-pop stars the songs are pretty banging. Like they're really pretty good. And the premise is this girl group, this Korean girl group, these, K-pop stars are actually demon hunters because you hunt demons based off of like a barrier that
Okay.
is in the spirit world, but that barrier is dependent on the soul of fans, basically. So you can fight the demons if you're pretty good at songs and have like the fan base to power you up.
You need to get a crowd into a song,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the power of a bard.
right. It reminded me of Brutal Legend, of like how that
Yes, okay,
sort of shit
okay.
worked. And so they're about to just do a golden hamon, which is their hamyon, which is their wall, basically.
Okay.
And that's going to seal it forever. No leaks anymore. Demons won't be able to come through at all. Demons are desperate. They're like, what can we do? All of a sudden, a hot demon pops up and like, cool, I'm actually only half demon, and here are my 5 bros. We're going to go form a boy band and
Use
steal
their
some
same
of the
power against them.
steal some of the fans from them.
Okay.
So they're Huntrix, and then they form the Saja Boys, and they are like an in-sync boy band. Like I think I saw on the thing that they actually, other than the main guy that has a kind of a romantic thing going on with the leader of Huntrix, the other 4 have the exact same body model.
Okay.
That from the animators. Like, no, they all have the same body model, and we switched up their hair, but they are basically background like puppets.
Right.
And they have like a whole rivalry go on. The Kim Jong is their manager that is basically does not know they're hunting demons throughout the whole thing. So they just disappear and like, hey, yo, why aren't you at the concert? Like you're late. What? And then they're looking at the plane. Their plane is flying away from the concert, and they look at their side, and there's a stewardess is pouring coffee into a plant, like watering a plant with coffee, and like, okay, we'll be right there. Don't worry about it. Hey, yo, so you're a demon, right? What? And like, well, you're watering a plant with a coffee, and that guy over there is trying to buckle his seat with 2 buckle ends.
Right.
And the pilot is clearly just pressing buttons, and the pilot.
No, I'm a pilot. I'm a human pilot.
No.
That's pretty great. That's a good gag.
No, and I really dug it. I actually was this is the only thing I actually watched again, just to listen to some of the songs and stuff.
Fun. I thought it was a series. I didn't realize it was a movie. I might throw that on.
It's a movie.
That
Yeah,
sounds cute.
No, honestly, if I was like more confident, you were like, because it has a lot of the anime chibi stuff.
Right. It doesn't always bother me. It's I don't know. It's as we've learned across our showrunner Patreon stuff.
Right.
It's an odd path.
Right.
Like it's an odd slalom to get me through an anime.
I don't think the trimmings are going to do anything for you, but also they're not so prominent that they might actually detract you.
Right.
I thought it was fun as hell. There's a cute little demon cat in it that like just gives messages on its weird tongue, like
oh, that's weird. Yeah. I don't know that. Like I said, everything in anime is a coin flip. Like either I'm gonna like nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. or it's fine.
But yeah, that was pretty much. Oh, I kept up on. Actually, watched the final episode of Crapopolis, which I don't know the release schedule of that fucking show.
No, who can tell these days?
Did like it. I thought it was pretty good.
I realized there were several I haven't watched, so I watched a couple I hadn't seen, and yeah, I continue to think that show's cute every time I watch it.
It was a Persephone and Hades riff.
Okay.
Deliria has to actually help out Tyrannus because Tyrannus, kings are getting assassinated, and he's offended because his parent is like, no, but they're only killing kings that matter. You're safe. You're fine. So he pays a guy to try and assassinate him, but it fucks up and he actually assassinates him.
Okay.
So he has to make a deal with Hades to go check on, hey, yo, my girlfriend Persephone, I don't actually know where she is. So if like you track her down, I'll let you off the hook on the death thing.
That's great.
And then I watched some Rick and Morty, which had Beth and like the 2 Beths have like a montage of them both bored with their lives, horse surgeon and space pirate, and with for some reason the Cheers theme song in the background, just
making your way in the world
today.
Yeah,
But so they end up making a decrease, like an age decreaser, and it reverts them back to 12-year-old Beth.
Okay.
And they Space Beth goes first, become 12-year-old Beth, and like one Beth looks after the young Beth while the other like plays, and they're like, man, I forgot how much of a psycho we were at 12. Like that whole Frumpy Land where she killed that, like, oh no, she is a straight up sociopath. And so eventually one tricks the other and they both are small Beth at the same time, and are like, and then like look at each other and look at the de-aging machine and kick the shit out of it and destroy it. Like, no going back. I forget what Jerry and they're at a human world.
Okay.
Earth world. And it's a theme park that looks like the Earth.
Okay.
But it sucks.
Okay.
But it was in a funny way that Rick liked, like, no, it was funny how bad and off it was. And then he gets there and it sucks, but in a completely different way. Now it's corporatized, and there's guys with big heads of like John Legend or whatever. Like, I think they think John Legend is bigger because of his name.
Okay, that's great.
And Rick is like, no, this used to be bad, but in a fun way, like not ironic.
Like, this is just bad.
And no one believes him. Like, I don't know. I think maybe your just sense of taste is off. And like, it's Dan Harmon basically shit. Like, hey, yo, liking something that sucks in an unironic way is like, what is the degree of something sucks so much it's good, and then it kind of just sucks?
Right.
You know, and are you really kind of lame for enjoying any of it?
Yeah. No, I want it to be bad good. This is just bad. Like, there's no difference in that, really.
So I thought that was pretty fun. Anyway, what about Hugh?
Let's see. That actually segues well into a movie that I watched, Omniloop, which is a terribly named film, but at least it was also bad. It has Mary Louise Parker and Ayo Adebiri from The Bear.
Right.
Along with Pete from The Bear, who actor, I do not know his name.
Oh, yeah.
It's a not bad premise. It had some like kind of wackiness that I liked about it, and I wished it had leaned into it more. It's set it's a sci-fi movie set in like a 5 minutes from now kind of future.
Sure.
Like, it's just basically now, except that the science is a hair off Buckaroo Banzai style. Like,
there should be a name for movies that try to do that, which is like, it's set far enough in the future for you to get off our backs about the technology that doesn't exist.
Right, but everybody looks the same. It's like a year from now. It's just that like we've crossed some holy shit, that's possible now and it wasn't 2 years ago kind of line.
I guess you could call that near future, but
yeah. So at the opening of it, Mary Louise Parker is in the hospital and the doctor's telling her, look, there's nothing we can do. It's you're terminal. You're probably going to die in the next week or so. We really don't know. You have a black hole the size of about a peanut in between your lungs and your chest. Mm-hmm. And it's I don't know much about it. There's a pamphlet. Like, it's happened enough that there's a pamphlet, but nobody really ever like, I don't know, amount of radiation exposure in your life. What do you do for a living? Like, nobody's sure how it happened. And
that's
so
the worst case of black hole in your chest I've ever seen.
And every once in a while through the movie, there's a thing of like, oh yeah, I'm interning with Professor so-and-so. It's actually a big deal. He was on the team that shrunk that guy. Well, he was on the team that made the thing that shrunk that guy. Mm-hmm. And like, oh yeah, what happened to him? Oh, he's still shrinking. Yeah, no, they can't stop that. And like, oh, you mean the nanoscopic man? Yeah, no, he's still shrinking. And like, there's just these little casual asides of like weird science that is like, oh yeah, no, I saw that on the news. That's fucked up. But also, it is a heart on its sleeve, Michel Gondry level, head up its ass time loop movie. Mary Louise Parker can go back a week at a time, and it's entirely, as Fanny put it, this is a movie written about a woman regretting something, but written and directed by a guy, because she focused on her family. Like, she raised a kid and her husband got his degree and stuff, and now she has this black hole in her chest. Is going to die in a week, and she regrets not having focused on her career. But also, she's had these 1 week time loop pills her whole life. So there's like an about time thing to it where she's relived almost every week of her life before.
Okay.
She's been doing this since she was 12. And she
Mhm.
admits at one point that she has severe imposter syndrome because she's really not that smart. She's just redone every class
test.
she's ever, like every week of every class she's ever taken. And
Mhm.
like, yeah, you'd be top of every class you're in.
Yeah.
But also none of her professors, like when she runs into an old professor, he's really unimpressed with her because there was something like, you aced things, but you didn't seem to want it.
Mhm.
And like, it was a weird combo. I thought you'd do stuff, but you just, when I met you, was like, where's the passion?
Right.
And like, there's interesting stuff there, but oh my God, it's so fucking heavy handed. That like, even when a scene works, it's in service of just dumbness. And then I thought it was at least going to dovetail back nicely one way, and they don't even do that.
Well, I
like
mean,
they fucked up their dovetail ending.
a movie called Omni-Loop is only gonna like
That's the name of the train that they take on the commute to her. It doesn't even,
Okay.
it's not even that important to the movie. She's just on that train every day.
okay.
But it's not even, I swear to God, I was like, there's so many dumb choices.
Well, by
in
the
this
time
movie.
you tell me about the Ouroboros eating its own tail bullshit, you know that like I hate that so much.
And you know that's why they named it Omni-Loop, but
Yeah.
but it doesn't focus on that enough. Yeah, it's just, I would not recommend.
from what you told me, it sounded like it was gonna zig and like, oh, that's not what this movie. And of course it is.
It is beautifully shot and made and well acted. Everybody in it does great. It is a dumb story and bad script, I thought. Also watched The Damned, which has Samwell from
Hey.
fucking Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
It that was actually pretty cool.
I just saw him in the thing Patient Zero with Tucci
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. There's another movie I didn't talk about, but it's a completely boring movie on Tubi that just has a way too good cast.
The Damned is a movie that it should have aggravated me. It flirts with
Mhm.
like the monster's real, but also it's not like it's a physical monster. It is
Okay.
it's a small fishing town, like, and it's a bad winter. And the woman that owns the boat, who is a widow, that's why she owns their fucking ship. At the start of the movie is telling them like, look, I've looked back at the records on every fishing season. There've only been 3 as bad as this. And the guy's like, but obviously we're still here. We survived them all. She's like, we're still here. Survived them all. In none of those winters did all the fishermen make it.
No.
Or none of those seasons did all the fishermen make it. And the guy's like, so like they're fucked. And there's like there's some rocks off their coast they call the Teeth that they don't fish near because it'll wreck your boat.
Sure.
And they see a Spanish ship like sinking in between them, like that
Oh.
sailed up, and they were like, what the fuck are they even doing this close?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, obviously things have gone wrong for them, and they can see dudes. And it's that rogue heroes thing of like they have to stand on the shore and like we cannot risk
We can't go in there.
one boat for them, like, and then to do what, feed, like we can't do that. And so like, they just stand on shore and have to just watch them,
Watch these guys
right,
drown.
and like that's the moment where I was like, okay, The Damned, classy move. I thought The Damned were going to be like monsters that washed up in it, and like, you guys are the damned. Like very rarely have I seen a movie where the main characters have committed so clearly the sin that will kill them all.
Sure.
But then shit from that shipwreck starts to wash up on shore, like a
Mhm.
couple of barrels of stuff, and they're like, fuck, there's stuff out there, and they risk the boat for that.
What?
But
That's fucked
and they
up.
get out there, and there's a couple of dudes still alive
Yeah.
who have crawled up on those rocks.
Sure.
And they start bailing out and starting to try and crawl on their little boat, and they're gonna fucking sink it.
Mhm.
Like, they can't tell these desperate dying men to calm down and wait.
Mhm.
And they realize that like these guys are about to get us all killed, and so they have to beat them to death to keep them from sinking that boat. And by the time they get back to shore, they've lost a dude.
Man,
and
that's fucked up. That means that
thrice damned. I mean,
so the world probably would have let it go if you just committed to the first level of asshole.
right. If you were wondering at the start of the movie, if like, well, I don't know if that's that. I mean, like, come on, they have a point.
Yeah.
And then, like, oh no. And then, oh man. And like they've got one lady, Helga, who's like telling them stories of like, no, we need to put nails in their feet and bind their hands with ropes so they don't come back as a Draugr. And like, what? And she's like, they'll get in the men's heads, and they'll come back like you can't do this. And sure enough, like everybody ends up fucked. Like everybody. And
Well, that sounds like a good start, at least.
it's cool, man. I really enjoyed it. It's a slow burn of a, like, you're watching these people slowly fucking lose it on each other, and like one guy is like, he's Christian at the start, but he gets a lot more Christian as shit starts to get weird.
Sure.
And is like, well, this is because Helga keeps to the old ways, and that's why we're being haunted by this shit. And like, I had a lot of fun with it. It's definitely cool. It feels like something I would have seen at a film fest, but would have been in the top half.
Sure.
Also watched Heads of State, which I definitely thought was cuter than you, but neither of us thought rose up to.
Dude, I still haven't finished
it. Didn't rise up to.
I
to
really
what we wanted to talk about.
I thought that beginning was good, and then I got bored, and then
just didn't get it back.
Jack Quaid steals that movie,
and then is gone.
Then is gone.
Also watched the penultimate Poker Face. There's one more coming. They smartly have kept Patty Harrison, and added Justin Theroux and Haley Joel Osment were in this one.
That one definitely felt half. Maybe it's because it didn't actually finish, but like I felt like, oh, this doesn't have as satisfying. This is not a satisfying episode because they don't.
Because it's a two-parter, basically.
Because it's two-parter, like they don't really answer shit.
Yeah, they escape. I did like the moment when she sees Luca.
Yeah.
Or he sees her first and
no.
And like, well, it's also going to set me back in my therapy. Because
like I have imposter syndrome.
Yeah. So the next week, I think, is the final, who knows, Poker Face. So looking forward to that.
I think they'll let that run as long as Rian Johnson has.
Right. I think so, as long as they want to do it. Also, I kept up with Art Detectives, which has remained entertaining. I'm really enjoying my Acorn watching. Also, as we talked about earlier, over on Patreon, we'll be talking about Jurassic World Rebirth. And then Fanny and I have a couple of episodes left, 3 episodes left on this season. But I've been watching the latest season of The Bear, which I have been really digging. I don't know if the show, at once I don't feel like it's like they read reviews and corrected this season. Like I feel like this is probably Christopher Store's plan, but it is one of the weirdest divided, like, season 3 and 4, part 1 of 4 and part 2 of 4, whatever the fuck last season, this season are, because everybody was stuck in their shit. And then this season, it opens with maybe the largest number in any one show of people looking at each other going, here's exactly where you were wrong last season. Like, no, shut up. I'm going to have to say this to you again. Like somebody saying sorry and another character in a TV show stopping them and going, detail. What specifically are you sorry to me for? And like I need to hear you. Or somebody starting to hem and haw and the other character going, hey, so the thing you did hurt me and I'm not going to help you do the hard thing.
So I'm not going to help you with your apology.
And like, fuck, that's fair. It's been a really fun season. It also, I'm going to have to go back and watch in season 1. I don't think they did this. It is better than it was last season, but there are improv moments. This show is not improv.
No.
But
they have.
It is rehearsed to a theater play level where everybody has lines, but then also everybody just has a structure of the scene. And you can tell that sometimes they've used the lines take, and sometimes they've used...
There's a lot of the times when they're yelling over each other.
Right.
That feels like, yell something like this.
Right.
Not exactly...
And when it works, it feels like the most natural thing ever, and it's why we're talking, it's why everybody's talked about The Bear for several years now. So yeah, there's nothing like haunted or haunt or whatever in that, like, that egregious. And I think part of it is they've gotten the non-actors in the cast, I think, have gotten better at doing this, but also they don't do it with the non-actors as much this season, I don't think.
Yeah.
Because like Chicky and the other guy that helps out Evram in the window, like, they're actual fucking restaurateurs, I think. They're not actors. And so there's where the haunt ones that were really weird to me. And I feel like this season's better at it, but it's still one of those things that, like, when I notice it, it is now all I can see in the scene. Like when I hear it, like, nope, that's cowbell. It's all I'm listening to in the song now. And I can see it, like, hitting Fanny, like, that doesn't trigger anything for, like that doesn't pop Fanny out of the show. Like she doesn't notice that whatever that difference is that I'm catching, she's not. And so like where I'm thinking these episodes are 75% of the best television I've ever seen and 25% of improv that I hate.
What is
they're working for Fanny?
That must be why, because The Bear is the show that is the best show I've ever seen that I don't want to watch anytime it comes on. Because every time, I swear to God, we've done this a couple times with TV Dudes since The Bear even started, and I have not. They've come on and premiered, and I'll be like, yeah, I guess I'll get there eventually.
Yeah. But every time it's like Atlanta. Like every time you
anticipation.
sit and watch it, it's fucking awesome. But I don't want to sit and groove on a binge watch of Atlanta.
I'm not waiting for the midnight drop of the Atlanta episode,
right.
so I can watch it. You know what I mean?
Several that I did wait on the drop on though. Loved me some Duster. And the finale of that. Have you caught up on Duster?
No.
Then we'll discuss when you finished it, because the finale of Duster dropped. And it's actually done now.
I think I'm a whole half season behind now, officially.
I don't know if they've got another season, but they definitely set it up for it. It's fun.
Well, they just gave Keith David his star on the Walk of Fame.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so...
That's cool. When was I watching where I realized that you have to fucking pay for those? Oh, it was fucking Hacks, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it costs money to have those. But either way, he deserves it. But that's probably about it for me.
That's it.
So, let's segue right over to that main show. Let's talk about Revival.
Revival?
Hello? Officer? Don't know what's going on.
I don't understand.
No one's seen you for weeks. Dad's been freaking out. The dead have come back to life.
What is going on?
I'm fine. Okay. Because you know your big sister has a taser and a gun. And a low moral bar.
What were you doing way out there anyway?
We're working a case.
If anyone out there suspects anyone of being one of these revivers, they should report their whereabouts immediately to the authorities. Don't take any chances.
Okay, this is reviver tissue, okay? Their cellular structure can regenerate.
Gates of hell are open. The end of days are near.
Now, you read this comic, correct?
I did. I didn't finish it.
I do think it's funny that in the third episode, somebody gives a copy of Hackslash.
Yes, that's really funny.
I thought that was funny.
I really like this comic, and I've always thought it was interesting because it's set in Wausau, which I could get there from my house in like a 30-minute drive. Like, hell, like they were talking about going down to Waukesha or whatever, and that's only 15 minutes.
Like, you'd still be just outside the quarantine zone, but it would make your town weird.
Yeah. No. It'd be like, so to me, like, oh, you're stuck quarantined in this town because the dead only rose in Waukesha. And I'd be like, that sounds like a nightmare.
So the setup of this show,
like, you don't realize it's a prison until you can't leave.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right. Well, I'm sure the high school kids there think it is. So in the rural town of Wausau, Wisconsin, the sudden resurrection of the recently deceased becomes known as Revival Day. Labeled revivers, the newly resurrected maintain their appearance, memories, and personalities from their previous lives, but have gained regenerative healing abilities. They are not fucking around. They have serious healing factor.
Yeah.
While the town's residents grapple with the miraculous event, local police officer Dana Cypress investigates a murder mystery in which everyone, including both the living and the undead, is a suspect. Meanwhile, Dana's sister Martha M. Cypress adjusts to her new life as a reviver and seeks to learn the truth of Revival Day's origins. It's based on a comic book series by Tim Seeley and Mike Norton, a show created by Aaron Kuntz and Luke Boyce. It's got Melanie Scrofano. She is Mrs. McMurray. I believe she's also Winona Earp. She is fucking hilarious and really, really brings it here.
I think great casting as Dana.
We have David James Elliott, who is not Josh Brolin, but is Sheriff Wayne Cypress. And then we've got Andy McQueen as Ibrahim Ramin.
Yeah.
The CDC doc that kind of may have a thing for or with Melanie or Dana.
Well, they were gonna hook up the night before.
That's right. When the show, the Revival Day.
No, not Revival Day. It was
Or
after
no,
that.
right after that. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
right after that, because he gets brought in for Revival Day.
Yeah, yeah.
So right before quarantine is
That's
lifted,
what it is.
They're about to hook up, and in the comic they do hook up. Like they hook up and like, which is another thing that I think they changed just so. There are a couple things that they changed in the comic to make it more, I don't know, palatable from a. Dana has a rep in the comic as, I mean, town slut is harsh, but she has been around a minute
in a
like,
small town.
In a small town, and so that's a different context of whatever. But like, yeah, the her baby daddy fucking ran out on her, and she's been dating pretty seriously ever since. And I think they switched that from Ibrahim, like, oh, I wonder why they don't, like, because she gets the call while in bed with him. Like, it still gets across the thing, but it was one of those change, like whenever they change anything, you're wondering what the reasoning is in behind it. And I think they wanted to make Dana less slutty, which I thought was
or heighten the will they won't they, and they haven't already.
Right.
Something, yeah.
But there's not really any tension between them now.
No, it's really about solving this mystery. And Dana is obsessed with figuring out what happened to her sister.
Because they can't spend a lot of time with each other. They're both doing a separate thing.
Right. And honestly, that might have been why. So that the audience isn't like, well, why aren't they spending all their time together? They fucked.
Oh, well, I always thought it was like, well, they fucked, but they have no time to talk about it.
Right.
Was always how I saw it in the comic of like, shit, we should really talk about this, but we can't. And also, I don't want to like let dad know I slept with a CDC investigator.
Right.
Like, but other than that, like, the premise of the show is great. Like, people one day, people that died on a specific day.
Not everybody.
Not everybody.
Like 47, 48 people?
Yeah, 47 revivers on record.
On record. So, like, not everybody. I like how weird the town gets. There's people whose loved ones died right around that day.
The day before.
Who are freaking out that, like, why did my husband come back or whatever.
Yeah. And they spent a month in quarantine as the show has started, and people get weird. And
you keep the scars you had when you died.
Yeah.
The punk kid that like, how did you die? It's lame.
It's stupid.
I cut my hand with an avocado.
Yeah.
Cutting a avocado, and I was too punk to go get it looked at, and I died of an infection. So he's got the scar on his hand.
That's so amazing.
It's so lame. But then that makes her like M's trying to put together, the sister's trying to put together how she fucking died. And the show also, part of that.
Well, she wakes up washed onto a shore.
Right, and coughs up a wedding ring.
Coughs off a wedding ring where you're like,
That's great. And I love that she goes and confronts the married man she's fucking. And like,
well, I mean, you
like you would. And he's like, that's not my fucking ring. Yeah. The show does a good job so far of seeding in what's going on with the town, which is, are these people zombies? Is there something going on? Are they just themselves back? What's happening? And they've done so far in 3 episodes, they've done a good job of like teasing it out there that something, see, I told you they were really wrong. There's something fucking wrong with them. And then being like, okay, no, actually, because in the first episode, I think, or first or second episode, we've got the old woman that's eaten a horse and pulled her teeth out and all this crazy shit.
Yeah.
And attacks them, steals a baby, all sorts of nutty shit. But in the third episode, we find out that prior to her death and revival, she'd been poisoned like for a long time with mercury. So she's crazy.
Yeah.
And like her brain is still crazy.
No, you get brought back. You don't get.
It didn't fix that.
Didn't fix that.
So that's not every reviver. That's just her. I thought the sister was dreaming of some weird fucking Lovecraftian black shit. But no, it's probably just her hair as she falls.
As she's fallen, because it would float.
Right. Like, oh, that's great. There is some other shit she's dreaming that I don't know what that is.
They might have changed the rules slightly from the comics too, of like how the revivers work. Although the rules are very, no one knows how any of this shit works.
I'm also a sucker for why would anyone know how this happened? And like the CDC guy that like he's gotten his biggest hint at the end of Ep 3 when some of the well water he's taken samples of it seems to be like growing.
Yeah, like I don't know what the fuck that is, but like. Is it regenerating itself like the algae and just like nonstop of growing a thing?
But like I love the little hint drops. I like that the show is really focused on like trying to figure this out, but while also you have a powder keg of a quarantine town that's scared and weird, and like I didn't think I would dig this show. It's got a fucked up tone. Like, it's got a weird tone to it.
It's so fun. Like, well, that's what I really thought they like. Whenever they try and do a thing in a comic, I'm always like, it's really subjective what you get out of a comic and what you think.
Right.
I thought Revival was funny, but had a great mystery and stuff. But it was also funny with Dana and her sister and the shenanigans they got up to, and not just that, but like how the old woman, and this is one of the things that I don't know if they especially said in the show, but in the comic, she's ripping out her teeth because she had dentures, and they don't feel right in her teeth. She wants her dentures back.
I guess if all her teeth fell out naturally, I guess that's not scarring. They would grow back.
Yeah, but they don't mention it in the show.
Right.
They don't mention the dentures in the show, which makes me think they don't want to contradict themselves now. So I'm like, did they change the rules but want to keep the teeth pulling of that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe that was just always inconsistent. I don't really know. Also, they haven't done a thing that I can't tell you because...
if they do it, it'll spoil.
Well, also, it's insane. And it happens really early in the comic and doesn't get an explanation until later, but the kid, her kid is has a bigger thing going on in the comic. Like, other than his friendship with the little girl. He has that going on too. But he has a whole side thing that I'm hoping they're going to do at some point, and I don't...
Well, they were bringing in they waited they were establishing the rest of the show first.
Right.
But like in the third episode, we're seeing his relationship with the little girl.
Mm-hmm.
I really, talking about the teases of like, see, I told you something was wrong. They have the parents do the changeling thing of like, no, I knew every hair on her head. And I really love her, like them sitting in front of their wall of crosses and shit, and her looking at them going, hey,
spoiled bitches.
So you guys are just being dicks.
You've had it too good.
To a scared little girl. Like, and granted, she doesn't want to believe her sister's different.
She can't believe.
But also that little girl hasn't, with the explanation of the Mercury and the old woman, that little girl hasn't done anything. And like at this point, those people are just being dicks.
I can't tell if it was a thing in the comic or if this is just my headcanon. But being brought back as a child, your brain chemistry
is weird,
and also now will never change.
It's going to heal back to that point.
It's going to heal. So
we don't know if they age.
No, we don't. Man, we don't know shit about it.
Yeah.
Like, well, the old woman gets burned later, and of course, the preacher or whatever.
Yeah,
that's going
to start. I took care of it.
Going to start a holy war over this shit. Thinks, oh, he did it. Like, no, it just takes longer to heal from being burned.
The cop's like, wait, you think she's going to recover from that? And
she's already.
The doctor's like, the cremains are already regenerating.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Like the cremains are already coming back.
I'm just saying that we have a minute before we have to deal with crazy granny again.
She's going to be just as crazy as she was a minute ago, and she's real strong.
I would recommend waiting until it regenerates into enough of a human shape to put a straining jacket.
Yeah. Let's get enough of her back to straitjacket her. Yeah.
But they also reveal what's going on with what's his name, the preacher guy, pretty early in the
pony guy.
Horseman ponyman, horse guy ponyman. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to go that he's full of shit. But in the comic they are immediate about that, where he goes to first time you see him, he goes to get a possession out of a little girl, and he goes and like okay, I'll take the money from you. He goes up into the girl's room and he slaps the shit out of her like, look, I know you're just doing this for some fucking attention, so I'm gonna yell some stuff here, and then rather than rat you out, you're gonna fucking pay me,
fucking act right,
and also pay me on top of what your parents just did.
Mm-hmm.
And then no one will know about this. And basically he's a fucking
scam preacher. That's great. Who just sees like the greatest Jimmy Swaggart opportunity ever here.
Well, he I think it's between that and also he's real revival, like magic shit. And he's excited to like get in on it.
Right.
Everyone sees, it's interesting to see how everyone has an opportunity now. Like the brothers they have, what are the names of the brothers?
The Czech brothers.
The Czech brothers. The Czech brothers are
dude, their mom is amazing. Really into cocks.
You have a like, oh hi, or like, oh thank you, like,
oh yeah, and like what the painting that you're gonna buy a folk art painting from her, and the painting you buy is gonna dictate what illegal thing you're buying from them. Like, do you want a breakfast chicken or a lunch chicken or a dinner chicken? And they're all fucking folk art paintings of chickens at different meals and shit, doing different stuff.
So weird specificity that I love. But those fucking fucked up dumbass what in Happy Town, the brothers.
Yes, it's those same fucking idiots living in the edge of town. Yes, the stilettos.
It feels like another just fucking offshoot of the Stiletto family. Like,
absolutely.
And the Martha, the sister, has an opportunity because she's always had brittle bone disease, like the fucking Sam Jackson in Glass. Yeah. And so now her bones break just as easily, but also heal up.
Right.
Also, she was addicted to pills because of pain pills. Because of course you would be. You have
brittle bone disease. I'm sure that happened as a kid, and it doesn't do anything to her anymore.
So that
cracks me up.
She has no pain. So the pain medication doesn't work, but also there's no lasting consequences for damage anymore.
Right.
So it equals into just a rash.
Like kind of just an insane kick-ass type person.
A wild card of a character.
Yeah.
Also,
Novocaine with a healing factor.
Oh yeah, and they can't die, but that doesn't mean you can't like strap one down or bury one or like.
Oh no, like anybody who's read a couple of vampire novels, like being immortal can have downsides.
Right.
If you're trapped.
So like you can't. It's like don't sleep on people. Like you're still like not. Just because you're invincible doesn't mean you're invulnerable.
Right. Right. Because if you think the checks won't bury you outside of...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And also that the parents and how they are dealing with their little girl. I like how... And since there's 47 revivers, I always liked that it was a little bit of a... The show isn't much of a reviver of the week.
Right,
it seems to be weaving a bunch of stories together.
Yeah.
But in the comic, I liked that they would go around it like, hey, how's this guy dealing with their reviver? Oh, not well? Shocker.
Yeah,
But Ibrahim...
The CDC
guy is getting the shaft in this show. And that, the only reason I say that is he gets a lot more to do in the comic because there's a lot more racist dudes in the comic that fuck with him. And he gets like a whole... Like that guy that points a shotgun at him at the show has a whole like, he gets his foot caught in one of that dude's bear traps in the comic. Like, I feel like they haven't given him a lot to do yet.
Right.
But it's only been 3 episodes, so I'm not overly worried about it. And he is the voice of reason because.
Well, the mayor just told him that, yeah, you can make a list of every reviver and tag them and track them.
Yeah, that's no good.
And the guy's like, look, man, I don't mean to say that they're like a protected minority class or anything, but historically in this country, this has never gone well.
Yo, name me one time a camp has made things better rather than significantly worse.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, he ain't wrong about that. Like, we don't not have a great track record, but also they're scary.
Right.
The
pretending like people aren't reasonable to at least have some questions.
You realize that the quarantine they lifted is just your house to house quarantine.
Right.
You can now wander the town. They're still stuck in.
They still won't let you leave for the rest of Wisconsin.
They're still stuck in Wausau, or Waukesha. Wausau. They're still stuck in Wausau, and no one can fucking leave.
Right.
And if I'm outside there, and I know. Like 47 people came back in that town and nowhere else. I'm also like, no, they stay there until we figure that out, right?
I love that the older brother that actually runs the crime family, the Czech family,
like Chicago,
just happened to be dumb chance happened to be out of town when they put the quarantine down, and so now he can't run it. Like he can't be there to run it, but his brothers are idiots.
But he's obviously the voice of reason.
Like when she makes him call no, I won't make a deal with you. I'm going to make a deal with your brother for you, but you are an idiot.
I love the brother be like, so I'm gonna let your guys go. Like she does a thing that probably cops should not do, legal. But also like, hey, cool with the Cypress between the checks, and man, he sits quiet on that phone for a long
his brother's
time.
Like, take the deal, dude.
Enough to where the brother's like, hey, man, take the deal here. I need you to.
Man, we can talk about later. Like, I'll give you my Nintendo.
And I get that Dana didn't. She thinks that they killed Martha, but that's not unless you know for sure.
No, that brother looked very surprised at that.
Because now you've revealed that she's a reviver to a crew of guys that you don't. That are not trustworthy.
No, what happens if you, I don't know, put a reviver in a box and throw them in a lake? Do they just keep waking up as their lungs, as they drown over and over again?
Interesting experiment.
Like, I feel like they're going to figure it out. There's a lot of terrible, terrible ways that you can be immortal, or with the healing. Anybody that's read enough Wolverine, like, there's a lot of awful ways that your healing factor can be used against you.
Yeah. No, you're just not being imaginative enough.
This show reminds me of all of the big overarching insanity connective plot of iZombie.
Yes.
How that show's very week to week, unlike Revival. That show's got a zombie of the week. But one of the fun things about iZombie is that it stacks up to one of the craziest large-scale show plots in like the last season of it that I've ever seen. And Revival's just that. Like, absent the Reviver of the Week.
Right.
Because there's only 47 of them. Like, I don't know. To me, that number makes it a thing where you could pitch a network a 5-season show, a Reviver of the Week, and it'd be done.
Well, it's such a specific number that you're like, the specificity in the one day of it is like, what happened?
Nah.
What happened?
One of you drew some symbols on your fucking cabin, Evil Dead style. Who read the book?
Who read it?
Who found and read the fucking book?
I read this.
Did you say the words? Pretty much.
Pretty much. Come on.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I'm digging this. We watched the first episode and we're like, okay, this is weird and funnier than we thought it would be.
Yeah.
And then I watched the second episode, and by the end of it, I was like, shit, I'm really invested in what the fuck is happening in this town. And by the end of the third one, I was like, okay, this is just fun. I love Melanie Scrofano. Bring it on. Stephen Ogg as the crazy fucking preacher that's definitely full of shit. And like, all right, boys, let's start a holy war. Like, god damn it. Digging all of this, man. When the old man came around the corner with that shotgun, he's snooping.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, fuck, man.
Whoa.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah, I'm enjoying the shit out of this. I would highly recommend folks go watch it. It's over on Peacock. Not to be confused with the kind of cocks that the Czech mom has.
Yeah, it's a morning Peacock you got to watch it on.
It's a morning Peacock you got to watch it on. But yeah, Nick, would you recommend folks go pick this up, check it out?
Oh, absolutely. I would also recommend picking up the comic because I think the comic is just different enough to really have a fun read.
If you liked Revival, check out Other Revival.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably going to wrap it up for us this week. You tune in next week when we come back from the dead again. Just keep healing. To talk about Game Bros, our next patreon.com/TV Dudes showrunner pick.
From who? What showrunner?
It couldn't be the
same one.
John Paul Vitale.
Again.
We'll be watching it over on Tubi.
I could have guessed that. But until then,
TV Dudes out!
She came back wrong.
Whatever makes her different could be the key to everything.
I can't police something that can't be killed.
There are 47 names on the Reviver registry. How do we know that's all of them?
I was on the bridge and something bad happened.
And I aim to send those demons back to hell. One by one.
You went through my phone.
I'm a detective. I was detecting.